Hey, hey, happy Friday Eve, everyone. Today we're talking about becoming epic, right? Mastering change, and I'm super excited. I have my friend Sarah Harper here with me. Sarah, you want to tell everyone who you are and why this topic matters so much to you?
Oh, I love the Friday Eve positioning. I'm going to use that all day now.
Please
I
do.
was like, you said happy Friday, go Friday. So yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I love the work that you do, and I'm excited for us to have a chance to talk today. Um, and who I am, wow, that's kind of a loaded question. But one of the co-founders of Leading Human, the title kind of says it all. We really believe in leading humanity. And one of our core programs is about Epic and helping people deal with change. Something that I think, regardless of what people feel about a lot of the changes happening in the world, or even on cold, freezing day here where I'm at, and different environment, or winter and going to spring, there's changes all the time. And this is the slowest year, the rest of your life, right? With
Mm,
technology speeding up and it being a smaller percentage of your life, et cetera, this is the slowest year. So, how do we deal with organizational change, environmental change around us, family changes? Um, our approach is EPIC, and it's an acronym. And I can walk you and unpack it a little bit more, but E is for emotions. What are the emotional journey you go on? What are the stages? And each one of these has a framework. It's a very systemic kind of approach. P is for purpose. What's your purpose? What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? How does it line back up
mm,
with either your company or your life goals? I is for invest. Investing in relationships. What are you doing and how are you doing that? I set out last year to do 300 connections in 300 days. And it sounds like a lot, but I ended up doing it about 100 days. Because if you talk to two people a week and they talk to introduce you to two people and you introduce them to two people, the math works out pretty quickly. You can actually do about 400 in 300 days.
isn't it
Anyways,
interesting how that works?
yeah, the math is real.
Right.
Real people. So investing in relationships and doing it in a systemic, strategic way, not just kind of even you're starting a new job, right? Or your team's just changed. How do you invest in the right relationships and how do you make sure you're doing it? Which gets to the C, which is connect. How do you create a connection with other people? And again, we have a formula for that, which is 3+1+1. Three things about you, one thing you want, and one thing you're excited about the future.
I
And
like that.
so again, I can go through each one of these a little bit more, but that idea just being to help you understand the emotions of change, having a purpose of where you're going with the change, how do you invest in relationships to support that, and then connecting in that
Yeah,
new way.
let's dive in a little bit. And you know what? Whoever said we need some music here at the beginning, I heard you. I'm gonna see if I can do that because I would love some music too. Because I want y'all to be hyped when we come on here. I want y'all to be excited. So tell me what type of music we need to add to the intro so I can make sure everyone's ready to go. And don't forget, as we talk about becoming epic, make sure you drop your questions, comments in the chat. Elizabeth, we see you, appreciate you for go ahead and putting the comments in there and being engaged. So hey, I'm all for giving people shout outs as we go.
Thank you,
So
thank you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you too. Yeah, and Eliza, and I maybe I misspoke. Did I say it was the slowest, or you? Maybe she's commenting that she thinks it's the slowest. I don't know.
yeah, you said it was the slowest year of your
Oh,
life
I'm
because of
sorry.
technology.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. This is the slowest year of the rest of your life. Yeah, because they only get faster. Thank you.
Yeah,
Now I'm confused
absolutely.
myself.
So let's dive into this epic program because I love that you said E is emotions, P is purpose, I is investment, and then C stands for two things: connection and communication.
Mhm.
So there's a lot going on in the world, no matter how you perceive your political affiliation, doesn't matter here. We're
Right.
talking about facts, right?
Yeah.
So we're always, as people, we have a million things coming at us. We wear a
Yes.
ton of hats. There's a lot of labels placed on us. So let's apply this in real time, Sarah. Like
Mhm.
someone's thinking, okay, I know I need a change, right?
Mhm.
Whatever that change is. How do they say, okay, let me apply this epic framework to what I have going on in my life today?
Yeah. So let's start with the first piece, which is emotions. And the reason we start with emotions first is because that's how everyone starts. It's primal. If there's a hot pan on the stove, you touch that hot pan, you have an emotion before you even label it as pain or to pull your hand away. You have a feeling, you have a response to that. It's uncomfortable to grab or touch a hot stove, right? If it's, or put your hand into a fire, that is uncomfortable. You're going to have an emotional response. So we start there because everyone does start there. And it happens to be another acronym, this framework. I didn't come up with it though, but it does happen to be Sarah. right? So this is not a Sarah
You
thing.
just posted this. I thought it was you. I thought you came out. I was like, clever, Sarah.
No, I'm not that clever. I'm definitely not that clever. No, I was taught to. It was taught it to me. And it's so it stands for, and it's the stages we all kind of go through. And yes, you can kind of go across a couple of stages, but is to think about first. There's shock. Even if you're excited about a change, it's a different to your system. It's different for your reality, right? So even if, let's say, you win the lottery tomorrow, the first kind of, you're going to have an emotional response, and part of that's going to be shock. It can be shock and awe, right? And then, so that's the first, but typically it's not. Typically people have a little bit of, kind of like jarring effect. So the first one is shock. The next one is anger, but anger doesn't always show up as like, oh, I'm mad at the world, right? It can be frustration. It can just be like, oh, my broke my right hand. I'm used to writing with my right hand all the time. Now I have to write with my left. Like, that's really hard. It's just different. It's a friction that gets created. Sometimes it is angry, right? The next stage or phase is resistance, because by human nature, we naturally do things the easiest path of least resistance, right? That's part of our survival. So you're going to resist change to some degree because you have an old way of doing things. Then we get into,
even if you, sorry, Sarah, I just want to say, this is even if you know that the change can be good, right?
100%, right?
So I just want people to understand that.
Yeah,
this is not just because you're against it, but even if you know change is good, you're used to doing something a certain way, and it's just that friction is and uncertainty kind of jars you a bit.
Right. To go back to that other analogy, which may not be the best, but if you broke your hand and then you have to be using your left hand for 6 months, when you go back to using your right hand, it's a little uneven, a little unnormal. Or let's say you're on a boat and you're seasick. You step back onto land. It feels good to have your feet on land, but you're like, whoa, it feels a little uneven. You're like, wait, it feels kind of funny.
I feel that way off the treadmill.
Yes. No, it's true, right? It's totally true, because the treadmill's going and you're like, it's a little uneasy.
Yeah.
You're happy to stop running or stop being seasick, but you just have to, it's an adjustment, right? So absolutely. Then there's acceptance. Okay, this is the new reality. I'm at the 60-40. I'm 60% there of, accepting it. I know this is more. I'm not resisting it anymore. And then finally, there's hope. Hey, actually, this may be a good thing. I can see the positive part of this. Here's what I can take away, when you're also open to help. And so recognizing those different emotions in those stages also helps you recognize them in others. It's not necessarily your responsibility to do anything about them, but if you're like, oh, I get it. That person right now, they're acting angry, or they're, pushing back against, or they're resisting this idea. You're like, okay, if I can embrace and understand that they're at resistance, just acknowledge it. You don't have to agree with it. Just acknowledge it.
Yeah. This is something that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, you'll help them move to the next stage. Sorry, Jevon.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned like acknowledging in other people, like recognizing these things, because one of the things I talk a lot about is empathy. And right, being able to understand and process other people's feelings and emotions, and understanding it from their perspective. Why may the change cause these emotions to transpire within them? Being able to ask those questions, hey, I noticed there's a slight change in your energy. Can you tell me more? Right. Oh, I noticed that, as soon as I mentioned X thing was going to take place, you kind of shifted a little bit. You want to talk about it, right? Those types of things, just acknowledging that something is there for them and giving them space to share it, could be all the difference.
Oh my God. So much so. I love that you said that, like, just saying, I recognize this. Do you want to talk about it more? That extra step of curiosity, right? Of showing up for someone and just giving them that space. And even if they say, no, I don't, they recognize it in themselves. They see that, right? They feel seen. And if people feel seen and heard, it reduces that friction, reduces that resistance, which is also why with companies, when they do these drastic changes. I talked to somebody yesterday. They had 4 changes in 4 quarters, 4 new leadership, 4 new reorgs every quarter, right? The whiplash effect of that is just enormous. So to your point about like, hey guys, if they just say, hey, we know this has been a lot. We know there's been a lot of changes, and there may be more to come. We appreciate how challenging this may be on you personally and professionally.
Absolutely.
And showing up, your point, that empathy, it goes a long way.
Absolutely. And it's so lacking. I mean, a lot of people say they're empathetic and all this other stuff, but showing is different from saying. And like you said, a lot of these orgs, like they don't, And one of the points I want to make about this happening in the workplace, Sarah, is we don't understand the ripple effect that happens, right? If we make a change in the organization that we think, oh, it's just small, or it's just, change in leadership, oh, change in role, change in, layoffs, all these things don't just stay in this little vacuum or this little siloed area.
Mhm.
That transpires and resonates through someone's entire life. Right.
Yes.
And I think that if we stop to think about the consequences of what we say and do a little bit more, a little bit longer, right? A couple seconds can change everything. So if you
Mhm.
just stop and think about really what happens after you do or say X thing, then the decisions that have been made would probably look a little bit different if that person actually cares, right? That's the
Right.
difference.
Right. And it has to be authentic, right? To your point,
Yes,
right? Having those
absolutely.
and thinking about the emotions and not having and just saying the words, people will not resonate, will not come the same way. And it doesn't have to be a big shift, right? Because
Right.
sometimes there's things that, people can affect. They're just kind of part of bigger decisions. Um, but just acknowledging it, just acknowledging the humanity. And to your point, it does affect everything everywhere, right? People, I just talked to somebody earlier who we were talking about their organization investing in their development on specific topics. And they're like, this is going to help them everywhere in their lives. I'm like,
Yeah,
yes, because we are humans at home and at work. We are the same
absolutely.
people. We
Absolutely.
care
And you
for it.
start to, when we're talking about change, right? That communication piece, that connection and communication, it doesn't matter if it's a negative change. What happens is if you're transparent with why the
Mhm,
change is being made, or
mhm,
why and how it's going to affect that said
mhm,
person, then
mhm.
they tend to take ownership. Okay, what can I do now? And I know this is happening, right? And I may not like it, but what steps can I take? Whereas if you make a change in your environment, it seems that you're only thinking about you, then that completes a different dynamic for everything. So yeah, I digress. Go ahead,
No, no,
Sarah.
no. Actually, I was going to say that's actually a great step in to talk about if we wanted to move into talking about purpose, right?
Absolutely.
So tying and tethering back and knowing what your purpose is, meaning at the job and the function, what is your purpose of? I mean, how many people I talk to that like, I don't really know what my purpose is. I don't know why I'm showing up every day. Like they know their tasks they have to do, but they don't uh, appreciate. No one's helped connect the dots for how that ties back to the value, of the organization, or value that they have simply as an employed human, right? Which sounds remarkable, but it's true. And so having people understand and having their own sense and identity of purpose and what they're doing and what matters to them can help tether them during times of change. It helps you not just be so responsive and reactive, right? So when you're talking about that authenticity and the curiosity, if that person knows that like I'm coming to work every day because X, right? It supports my family. I believe in what the company's goals are overall, and I can see that the work I'm doing here is going to help with that client, which is going to help keep the revenue coming in, which is going to help us. They just need to connect those dots. And part of that purpose that we talk about is strive for five, right? So, for example, if you're seeking a job, do 5 things every day towards getting that. Then by the end of the
Mhm.
week, you'll have done 25 things, substantial things. You're like, what's a thing? A thing is applying for a job, updating your resume, informational interview, reaching out to someone and asking them to talk, whatever you know is to be substantial, and track those 5 things. So at the end of the week, when it's 7 o'clock on a Friday night, you're not like, oh, I should be on LinkedIn looking for a job. I feel bad about myself. No, you did 25 things that week as an effort. You put forth consistent energy. It has to be enough to let you
Yes.
go for the next week. So
Yes.
it can apply to work, and it can do 5 things in a week. It doesn't have to be 5 things in a day, but having some sort of systemic plan goals, because maybe you're working full time and you're a full time parent, and so doing 5 things a day towards looking for a job while you're employed is too much. So do one thing every day. Just one thing can make a
And
big difference.
acknowledge it, yeah, and celebrate those wins. I mean, that's
Yep.
the like
Yep.
so many of my clients, they're phenomenal, they're amazing, but they don't really recognize it. And especially when you're in a period of constant flux or change, it's hard to see like, oh man, this one thing I didn't produce any results. We got to stop. We got to really get out of tying our success to the outcome, right? The
Mhm.
fact that, like you said, that effort has to be enough sometimes, like
Mhm.
embracing the journey, the steps you're taking towards getting the goal that you want to achieve needs to be that driver for you. because if you keep beating yourself up about not getting that said result, then you're in for a long day, and it's hard to get out of that feeling of failure or a shortfall or imposter syndrome if you're the one causing it.
Right, right, because you can't
You
escape
know,
yourself, right?
yeah, it goes back to that emotional side.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and I agree from the standpoint of, you're looking to external validation or external forces, and it's natural, right? We are
Mhm.
taught basically from birth. We look to our parents for approval. We go to school and get scored and grade. We get a job and we get performance reviews. So it's not that it's a bad thing, right? It's just that we've been taught that over time, and so learning to say, how do I know what to be true? How do I know what success looks like for me? No one else can take that away from you. I'm
Mhm.
not saying you can't care about your performance review at work. You should, but it shouldn't be the only thing you care about to define and decide your success. It's hard. It's hard, but
Absolutely.
that's anything worth having is right. So it's hard work, and it's worth it.
Yeah, and Joel, you said it right. What we're talking, like, purpose can connect with one's values, motivations, and beliefs. Like, you have to know, like, what flag you're willing to plant and not move. Right? What are you willing to stand on? It's like, so
Mhm.
identifying what success looks like should be tied to those values. Right? Should be
Yep.
tied to who you want to be. Who you can say, all right, my future self, I'm proud of you. So that will help you and guide you on what success is, because oftentimes we have all this noise out here that's really kind of deciding what success is for us a lot of times. And if you get lost in, like, catching the wave of, oh, that person's success looks great and it looks like I should be going for that, then you stop becoming you, right? And you stop
Yep.
having that authentic journey, and that's when you start falling into that feeling of never enough.
Yep. Yep. No, completely agree. And one of those ways to lead us into the I is investing in relationships, right? Is figuring out who do you want to be connected with? Who are the people that you want to be talking to? And how do you help support their goals and help yours? And it's not a transactional, right? Like when you and I were first introduced, it wasn't like, okay, what can Jevon do for me? What am I gonna like? What am I gonna get out? Like whatever, right? It's about understanding and showing up sincerely for the other person and saying, what are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to do? How can I help? Tell me more about you, right? And then the rest comes back, right? Because now and you know with authenticity, and it happens in waves over time. And so that's why I said the you don't have to do 300 connections in 300 days, right? Slow it down. Do 100. It's still a lot, right? Or even do less. If you even just connect with 2 people in a month, it'll take you about 2 hours, but you'll talk to over the course of the year about 200 people. You'll connect with 2 people, they'll connect with 2 people, and it takes you about half an hour each conversation and about a half an hour follow up back and forth between all the things to do it right. So, and it's such a game changer. Let's say you get changed at work and you have a new team and a new org or a new manager. Some people may remain the same, but their jobs have shifted. Reconnect with them. Create a map of, I want to talk to 2 people a week in my team or beyond. And then have them connect with 2 people and then connect with 2 people and then schedule and follow up.
No, I love that. And we also have to make it a point, like, to take that investment in relationships and put the onus on ourselves. Because
Definitely.
I know so many people are like, oh, why this person haven't reached out to me, this and that, and it's like, why haven't you reached out to them? Why haven't you reestablished that connection, or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be? So if we put the onus on ourselves, then we stop setting expectations that really are probably unrealistic for other people, and then
Yeah.
we can take that driver, and then once we start doing it, then you'll be surprised who starts to reciprocate that, to say, oh, this, I appreciate that Jevon and Sarah reached out to me,
Yeah.
let me think about who may be good contacts for them, like you
Mhm.
said, Sarah.
Mhm.
And it just becomes a trickle down effect. Next thing you know, like, your network is so robust and so powerful because it came from genuine curiosity and genuine care, and not even needing to ask for anything. You're just having a conversation, just being
Mhm.
open. I do
Mhm.
that a lot on LinkedIn, just reach out to folks and they're like, what is this conversation about? And I'm like, well, for one, I don't like just connecting with people just to connect. I want to get
Yeah.
to know you. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have anything to ask from you. I'm trying to give. Let me ask, how can I be of service now that I'm a part of your network? And they're always
Yeah.
surprised by that. Some people
Yeah.
say heck no. Some people say absolutely. No
Yeah.
harm, no foul for me. And, like, either
Yeah.
way, but I
Yeah.
love, like, you and I wouldn't be talking right now if we never said yes.
Right. Correct. Yeah. And I think that like I say to people, by the end of this conversation, my goal is to identify 2 people that can help support and show up for the part of you that wants something better or different. They're like,
I
oh,
love that.
really? I'm like, yeah. So tell me what that looks like. Tell me who those people are. Like, what do you want? And they find it surprising, and that I actually follow up, and I actually, I do make sure it's beneficial for both. And I know you kind of do similar things because we've done that kind of for each other at times.
Mhm.
But you're right. People are kind of surprised, and some people don't follow up, and that's okay, right? They have their own journey, their own thing. But I also think it's okay to ping someone.
For
Hey, you
sure.
said you were going to do this. Would you mind? Is it okay to, follow up? Or, hey, I haven't heard from you. Because people are busy, and we get so many emails and texts and Instagrams and, well, no more TikToks. I didn't want whatever, but all these different
Yeah,
things coming
yeah,
at us all the time. It is hard to sort through it. So it may
absolutely.
not be that person doesn't want to talk to you or isn't following up. It may just be that they got a lot of stuff going on. Or like one person I found out I didn't hear from, and I was surprised. And unfortunately, his mother had passed away.
Mm,
Right. So you never know what someone else is going on in their head. As long as you're not a jerk about it, follow up. Right. It just
absolutely.
shows that you care.
And that's so key, Sarah. The fact that like sometimes we personalize things. Like if we don't hear back, we're like, oh, that they must not want to talk to me. We don't know what's happening in lives of others. So
Right.
I love that you just said that. Like, don't personalize it. Just
Yeah.
check in from a place of wonder. Like, hey,
Yeah.
is everything all right? I noticed we
Yeah.
haven't spoken in a while. And we had set up a call. I didn't hear from you. Everything all right? That could really change someone's trajectory. Because
Yeah.
I know, like a while back, I used to work. I was a janitor, pretty much in the hospital, and this one lady, I'll never forget it. She said, "Man, I look for you. I look for you sometimes because you're always smiling, and that smile, no matter
Mm,
how bad my day is going to make my day that much better." So that's
mm,
when I started realizing the power of you don't even know how important like
absolutely.
what you're doing is to someone. So just do it with kindness, whatever it
Mhm,
is.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I had someone say to me last night, I'm not gonna embarrass my saying, but it was I had this networking event, but she stopped and said, "How good do you feel when you get to help somebody else?" And I was like, "It's amazing. I love it." And she's like, "Give that gift to somebody else. Let someone help you." And I go,
Hmm.
"Oh, I let people help me all the time. I'm okay. I'll take help." But it's a good reminder, right? So like you're not just nudging, you're giving someone else an opportunity to feel good. You're giving them an opportunity to do something for somebody else, right? And you're helping them grow. And so if you look about it and change it a little bit from that perspective, again, if you haven't heard from them after 2 or 3 times, take a hint. But
Yeah, yeah. Right, that's different.
it could still be them. Like, don't personalize it. You just don't know what's going on with them or what's happening. And then sometimes you never know, right? You hear from that person 2 months later, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," So
No,
yeah,
absolutely. We
right.
have a question. Joel asked, "Does the I just reference invest in relationships or other areas as well?"
So it's really about relationships, right? It doesn't mean that you can't invest in other ways, but it's really about, yeah, how, you can do it as far as like investing your time or investing in how your resources are thinking about your values and how you want to map against that.
Hmm.
But as far as dealing with change, and Joel, happy to have you put comments if there's something specific. But in dealing with change, if you can create relationships around it, it'll help you weather whatever that change is. You'll have a broader perspective. You'll have a broader understanding of what's going on. You won't be so alone, right? You won't, especially in this virtual world that a lot of us do and continue to work, if nothing else, just because there's multiple offices, there's multiple countries, and people go to work and they put their headphones on and heads down. It's not the same,
Right.
right? And they do go back to the office. So investing in those relationships has a multitude of effects. Doesn't mean you can't do other investments, but as far as how do you help manage change, really figuring out how do you build those relationships is what kind of focusing on as far as the epic.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So we this time is flying. We have about
I know,
5 minutes left.
I know.
So
We're just not a C. Okay, I want to do C because C is really important. So C is about connect. Now, this is a different way. It's kind of your own personal elevator pitch, but it's not giving your background. People can read your resumes, they can look it up, you can get there. C, like I said, is 3 + 1 + 1. 3 things about yourself. What are 3 superpowers you have? Or what are 3 ways you'd like to be described? Or 3 things someone else uses to describe you, right? 3 words, you're basically branding yourself,
mhm,
right? And how you want to be. And then 1 thing you want, right? You want this project to be successful. You want a new job. You want this team. You want to be a good leader, whatever it is, right? Something that you want. Tell the other person, make it easy for them, right? I want to help you get 2 new connections identify 2 new connections on this call, right? Like, oh, I get it now. And the last one is 1 thing you're excited about the future, because now you've just invited the other person into the conversation. right? They can tell you 3 strengths. They can tell you what they want, but the future, none of us know.
Mm.
So now you can have a healthy conversation about what makes you think that. Do you think differently? What else is going on? What do you think about the future? I think AI is going to kill us all. I think AI is going to enable us to be more human. I like whatever, I'm excited. I think that this company is going to do great things, whatever it is, but something you're excited about, something positive, because it shows you're leaning forward, you're looking at solutions, and you're trying, and there are things in the future you're excited about. I'm excited because I can't wait when I retire to sail around the world in a boat. That's not me, but someone told me that once, right? And so I'm like, awesome. It doesn't have to be just that work or project thing. It's about creating a connection. So creating your own elevator pitch with your 3 words or 3 statements, quick things to brand yourself, one thing you want, and one thing you're excited about the future.
I love it. I love it. No, that makes it so much easier. So I'm gonna challenge everyone watching this. If live on the replay, 3 + 1 + 1. And if you want to share it in the comments, please feel free. We will respond. Or if you want to send it to us, I just want to know your 3 + 1 + 1. And if I haven't met you, please use it when you talk to me, because I never used that before, Sarah. So I need to practice on it. That 3 + 1 + 1.
Yeah, and I don't always do it, Jevon, to be honest with you, when I meet somebody new, right? It depends. I'll pepper it in or something, but you have to play out the conversation. But not everyone, like you and I, we love talking to people. We talk to new people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is necessarily as extroverted or has that same interest or kind of just comfortability with talking to new people. So it gives people kind of formula. I told somebody that who was really challenged to go more outgoing, and they were going to a networking event, which was a big deal for them, right? To step out of their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And so this gave them like, oh, I'm going to do that. I can do that. I can build that out. And then also they told other people about it. So it gave them a talking point at a networking event to say this thing, or say, hey, I was sort of try this thing out. What do you think? Or what would you fill this in with? Like, it gave them just another connection point, right, of discussion.
Absolutely.
So really great to kind of create that connection in a new way.
Absolutely. No, I thank you for sharing that. So we have 2 minutes, Sarah. So do you want to give what would be your parting words to everyone today?
Oh, wow. I do not have that made up. Let's see. I mean, honestly,
even better.
The littlest thing I'm going to say, and someone put in the notes here, I'm not sure who, because I can't see that small, but to be kind to yourself first and foremost. We're all striving and want to do something. We're all fighting our own kind of personal challenge or journeys right now. There is so much going on, personally, professionally, globally. And so just give ourselves some grace, and I know I come with a lot of energy and enthusiasm about things, but I really think it's important, particularly when I'm, just meeting with the client or someone else, slow down, give them some space and grace, right? Let people feel seen and heard.
Yes.
And it's just, it can, to your point, it can change everything. You don't have to agree with someone to say, I hear you saying this. I see you. It means so much. If we can all just do that, I think we'll be better off. And I think it's good for business. P.S. It's not just making us better humans. It will help your teams re-engage, be more productive, not be so scared and timid.
100%. And how can everyone connect with you?
I want to know your parting words too after this. So okay, I'll give you a second to think about it. So Sarah at leading-human.com is probably the easiest way, or LinkedIn. It's Sarah, then Bolin, Bolin Harper, because there's lots of Sarah Harpers. Either way, reach out. Happy to. Oh, and sorry, Evelyn, I saw you just said repeat 3 + 1 + 1. 3 is 3 words to describe yourself, 1 thing you want, and 1 thing you're excited about the future.
Perfect. And then I'll give my parting words. I won't use that as a cop out. So my parting words for everyone is to think about being epic, right? So when it comes to the emotions, acknowledge what you're feeling and identify why you feel that emotion. Process it. And then make sure that your next steps align with your purpose and your vision. And then I want you to take that purpose and vision and realize where you want to invest. Who do you need to connect with? Who do you need to know? Who should you be having a conversation with? Whether that's a conversation for support, whether it's a conversation because you just want to meet someone, or it could just be to network. So invest in those relationships. And then that C, right? Make sure you're communicating with self along the way. Check in with you. See how you're feeling. Acknowledge it. Be real about it. Don't be so tied to outcomes that you forget about the beauty of the journey. And that would be my parting words.
Oh, you're so good. So good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me. This was awesome. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, everyone who tuned in with us. And thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for the engagement. And until next time, remember to keep ascending. We'll see you soon.
Awesome.